Hello, we are the ocean-friendly coalition Swimming with CVS. Today we will be running through an introduction of what the current situation is regarding to CVS marine pollution, some CVS stakeholders, our coalition of these stakeholders, and our coalition's call to action. So the problem is plastic. And plastic is one of the most common elements found in the ocean. This is bad because it really doesn't degrade. It absorbs toxic chemicals from ocean pollution, and therefore it poisons whatever eats it. So plastic is actually one of the most serious threats to the ocean, as it kills. Plastic and pollution kills over 1 million seabirds each year. And there's a garbage island legitimately twice the size of Texas in the middle of the ocean. And it can actually affect humans by reaching the seashore and destroying a lot of local tourism. So now, how do pharmaceutical companies play a role in this? Well, it also starts with plastic. Americans fill about 4 billion prescriptions a year. If each pill bottle averages around 2 ounces, that's potentially 500 million pounds of pill bottles that could make its way to the oceans. In addition to this, pharmaceutical adds to the toxicity of marine biology. Many Americans now are taking prescription drugs, and many consumers dispose of this improperly. This leads to sewage and treatment facilities, as well as landfills, which eventually goes to the oceans. Now, this is bad because a lot of drugs have been found in fish, which can actually change their behavior in a negative way.
Since CVS has nearly 24% of the market share, CVS is the largest consumption of any company in the industry, and therefore is responsible for the largest amount of possible pollution and runoff. CVS accounts for nearly 25% of yearly plastic waste coming from pill bottles. CVS has had problems preventing pollution relating to its business practices in 2012, when they were accused of causing environmental damage because of multiple unethical hazardous waste disposal habits. The company ended up having to pay nearly $14 million in a settlement.
So we understand some of the sustainability faults CVS has had in the past. So we've created a coalition between 3 diverse stakeholders: the EPA, the community of Jacksonville, Florida, and the Surfrider Foundation, to persuade you, CVS, to become more sustainable. We recommend the implementation of reusable, biodegradable prescription bottles, as well as many intense educational campaigns about the proper disposal of drugs.
Hello, I am here on behalf of the city of Jacksonville, Florida, and here I'm going to be talking about CVS's effects and the pollution on our major industries. Our largest economic sections in Jacksonville are shipping, tourism, and fishing industries. Jacksonville's fishing industry has nearly 700 million marine species in its ecosystem under attack from plastic and drug pollution. It's a known fact that oceans decompose plastic and pharmaceutical waste faster, polluting our fish supply that everyone throughout the country eats. There are potential trouble with ports with pollution, so there are large masses of plastic that can float and move throughout the oceans. This can block ports and bring out a lot of problems for our ships that go in and out, creating a supply chain problem for almost every company throughout the South and throughout the United States. People are less likely to come to Jackson for their warm weather and beaches if it's polluted. That means less customers at CVS, and that means more people working in the tourism industry that are looking for an issue. Not looking for an issue, but they're looking for a solution to the issue that they could associate with your brand and potentially no longer purchase items at your stores. Our stakeholders hold economic power, so your effect on our tourism industry, our fishing industry, and our shipping industry can really affect our people's lives, and they'll be looking for a reason. However, this is not just in Jacksonville. There are many communities like us that we are here to represent, such as San Diego and many other port cities that do have similar industries with your stores in them, and we cannot tolerate CVS's pollution anymore because of the industries that we have.
All right, so I'm here on behalf of the EPA. The EPA is a government agency that was built to aid in protection of human health and the environment by making sure Americans have access to clean air, land, and water. Our goals are to have clean water and reduce environmental risks. We also have regularly helped in making sure that federal laws protecting environmental health are enforced correctly. Another responsibility of ours is to make sure all parts of society have access to accurate information so they can effectively participate in managing environmental risks. The EPA puts a lot of emphasis on conducting tests to examine the effects of pollution on the environment, including waste from pharmaceuticals. For example, We had some studies that showed that pharmaceutical runoff and drugs like birth control had a huge effect on the reproduction rate of fish, which could have huge implications for a change in drug waste disposals in companies like CVS. If there are increased amounts of pharmaceutical pollution in water that are detected by the EPA's tests, we would likely further investigate a large company to make sure their logistics comply with all regulations. The EPA is an extremely salient stakeholder for CVS. We have three powers: political, which includes the power to create regulations that abide by environmental laws passed by Congress that would heavily affect the company, such as requesting regulations on packaging and transportation. This kind of leads to us having legal power, as we can accuse companies of failing to comply with environmental law. Then additionally, we have informational power granted. We have access to pollution laws and can contact CVS about compliance with the rules.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of the Surfrider Foundation. We're a grassroots organization dedicated to the protection and enjoyment of the world's oceans, waves, and beaches through a powerful activist network. Beginning with a small group of surfers and activists in Southern California 34 years ago, the Surfrider Foundation has grown to include over 50,000 members at 82 national chapters and over 1 million global supporters. All these participants are dedicated to 5 major initiatives: plastics pollution, beach access, clean water, ocean protection, and coastal preservation. By leveraging the power of our close-knit surfing and outdoor activist network, we have a record of over 500 campaign victories and are currently operating over 100 active campaigns. These missions include a multitude of plastic waste removal efforts, changes in legislation involving single-use plastics, prevention of coastal overdevelopment, and water testing and cleanup efforts. We're a very salient stakeholder for CVS, both on a local and national stage, because we're concerned with beachgoers and active outdoor enthusiasts who seek to enjoy the oceans and the waterways being impacted by pollution. We hold economic power through the community of outdoor enthusiasts and tourists that pay for access to beaches and waterways, and informational power to publish our campaign efforts to our large and growing activist network. Specifically with regards to CVS, the Surfrider Foundation is concerned with the company's spreading and abuse of single-use plastics, as well as their improper handling of hazardous waste and pharmaceutical waste products in 69 stores in the San Diego area in 2012. Because the San Diego area is so close to the national headquarters of the Surfrider Foundation, as well as the waterways that millions of beachgoers use every day, we believe that more action must be taken on CVS's part than simply paying their settlement in 2012.
Now, you may be asking yourself, what do all these groups have in common and why are they forming this coalition in the first place? Well, to describe ourselves, we are a diverse group of local and national organizations creating influence across the CVS value chain. Here you can see each stakeholder's saliency on the issue and to which the level they are involved. We encompass many different stakeholder powers, including the economic. So as far as the Surfrider Foundation and local communities, if you do not take action in dealing with your pollution issues, then consumers will most likely stop buying your products, which is the lifeline of your entire company. Political, the EPA can put in place more guidelines to slow your production or make it more costly if you do not continue to deal with the issues that we see faced. Legally, the Surfrider Foundation members and local communities can take action. People have a right to clean water and air and to not have their property desecrated from the pollution put out by your production. And informational stakeholders have their own powers as well, the Surfrider Foundation and the EPA, whereas the Surfrider Foundation can distribute information that throughout its different chapters and activities to everyone so that everyone will eventually know and be aware of your practices. The EPA can actually request that information legally. Our shared goal towards cleaner oceans and waterways is shared amongst entire communities locally and nationally, and we hope that you accept our call to actions, which we will proceed to now.
So, as a Swimming with CVS coalition, we are calling the board members of CVS to enact the following actions in order to reduce the amount of pollution found in our oceans. First, we want to create metal or biodegradable prescription containers. Considering CVS owns about 24% of the prescription drugs market share, we can make a huge impact on the amount of pill bottles being disposed. CVS could provide customers with a reusable bottle to be returned or refilled by patients when new medicines are needed. Then second, we're suggesting a reduction in proper waste of prescriptions. We recommend educational programs to be implemented within local communities and also suggest there be directions on packaging to increase awareness. Directions on packaging could include anything really, from directions for proper disposal or even to images of consequences incurred through improper disposal. Thank you for listening, and we sincerely hope you take our recommendations into consideration.